This is probably an episode people want to hear about. I had to do an episode on resources. Did an episode on counter meta that kind of covered this topic, but the topic has changed a little bit since, so let's discuss. Specifically dealing with resources. Resources in themselves are a part of the game. For those of you who are true to the game, blah, 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 a lot of you don't like them. I understand why you don't like them. To a certain degree, they at some point had to show up, otherwise we would still be dealing with feed cards. But I think the point isn't that, they're overpowered or anything like that. They're there, you have to deal with them. The game has evolved since they've shown up, and the game has given us tools with which to deal with resources. Some of them are in the form of characters, some of them are part of resources themselves. Let's start with the Disintegration Beam. Nothing feels better than rolling a 10 or higher with a Disintegration Beam and watching a Book of Skulls melt. I'm just gonna say it now. It feels fantastic to watch that thing disintegrate in relation with a Disintegration Beam. That said, it's not the most effective of all things because you do need a 10 or higher in order for it to happen. But it's a pretty piece of bling that has the potential to do exactly what I just said. Used with great effect, there is a character who is on the cusp now and is definitely going to be phased out in the next set of modern cuts. And that is the 10th anniversary Iron Man, the common figure number 009. Let's talk about this guy. At 125 points, you get a character who's got a trait where if he is dealt damage by a resource, or if he would take damage from a character armed with a resource, instead of taking that damage, you roll a die. On a 4, 5, or 6, he takes 0 damage. On a 1, 2, or 3, he takes 1 damage. So, even though he's only got 5 clicks, if your opponent is able to get past his impervious even, he's still got a chance of shrugging off the damage. Effectively got 2 rollouts if you are able to roll the impervious. So, in addition, he comes with Running Shot, Psychic Blast, Perplex. So he is doing damage. So he's not a slouch. He's pretty awesome. He's indomitable. And I have seen teams pilot 2 of them with Book of Skulls. Because 2 Iron Man, 10th anniversary Iron Mans at 125 points, a Split Lip and a Book of Skulls is exactly 300 points. So that option exists. He's not unique, so it's a thing that can occur. Let's move on to probably the least effective option, and that is the 68-point 10th anniversary Catwoman. I wish she was better at it. I gotta be honest with you. What she does is she stops the character within 6 squares of being able to use the resource. That problem comes with the fact that it can be within 6 squares. She relies on stealth, which in the metagame now is actually pretty easily avoided by things like improved targeting or the Avengers Initiative. And these things do still exist in the, don't fool yourself, Avengers Initiative still exists in the modern metagame. There's a couple characters that still have it, and it's worth watching out for. And improved targeting definitely exists in the modern metagame. So there's that issue. Another less reliable, but still could be a pain in the neck character with regards to it. I haven't managed a way to figure out how to make him a better option than another character with one of his keywords, and that is Cat. Cat being the prime version of Shang-Chi. Kung Fu Thiefy, you've got fake relics type character. His is a little tricky. The character using the resource has to be making an attack. When they make that attack, they roll a die. On a 1 or 2, they can pop a relic off of the resource. Under no circumstances does the resource go away. It does make effective use of getting rid of relics off of resources. I have to reread him, but I think he's pretty specifically worded with relics, which makes him very ineffective against the Batcave. Makes him very ineffective against the power plant, because technically, one thing you gotta know, not the power plant, the green, I gotta be careful about it. The power battery, the Green Lantern power battery. The constructs are not relics. They are their own thing. So when a game targets a relic specifically off of a resource, you are not affected by that one.
Cat is attached, a relic assigned to a character or an item attached to a resource.
Alright, there you go. Amber, with her chirpiness, has solved that issue. Now, two that have actually made their way into the metagame very effectively, very prominently, and I know I've talked at length about these characters, but I have to talk about them again. Lydia Mallar, 79 points, cool character, she got shape change, she's got combat reflexes, and she will happily take that hammer off of your Book of Skulls to gain some charge. She will happily take that cowl off of your Batcave to ruin your day. Do you need that Battle Fury and Super Strength? I'll take it instead. So I think Lydia Mallar is probably she's the most guaranteed version of any character that's going to be able to do this, because Lydia Mallar guarantees at the beginning of the game popping a relic or a game item off of your resource. Now, if it's not a relic, she doesn't get to keep it, but it is gone. So, power battery guys, you are still losing your shields or your crossbows or whatever Lydia Mallar seems fit.
Or the ring.
Or the ring itself. Probably most effective to take the ring and use that ring even to give her the ability to not be outwitted. Either way, it stops them from using the emotional spectrum power, which could stop your free actions in a nutshell. You don't want her to be able to do that. Believe me. Next up, Phantom Girl. Just Phantom Girl. She's so effective. All she has to do is move through you, and you can't use your resource. She's got phasing, makes it very easy. She flies even if you outwit her phasing. But I do believe that ability is attached to her phasing. So, but she's also got the ability to attack after she's moved, and she's a measly 72 points. So fits very easily into the metagame. And for those of you who've been watching the results of ROC tournaments of late, she has been making her mark. She does very well in the games she's in, and she's nothing to be scoffed at. So, in a nutshell, these are characters that can deal with resources. Most effective, of course, being Iron Man, Lydia Mallar, and Phantom Girl, with options including Cat, Catwoman, and the Disintegration beam. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Next episode, we're going to be talking about punishing your opponent for taking free actions.